It was September 29th, 1986, when the electronic wizardry and warped sensibilities of Skinny Puppy tapped into the synapses of this great public broadcasting organ. Skinny Puppy played a spontaneous live concert that Monday night on Brave New Waves before they were to embark on a tour that would end up breaking a lot of ground for the Puppies in Europe and in the US. But watching them do in studio what you're about to hear at home was nothing like seeing them perform on stage. Dwayne and Kevin operated their toys with serious intent, and Ogre sat quietly on the floor, motionless except for a tapping toe. No lights, no blood, no fog, no skulls, just Skinny Puppy and a flawless performance reprised for you tonight on Brave New Waves.
Talking about killing me, and I'm talking about killing him.
Each of us. It's the grave. Each of us begins
talking about killing me, and I'm talking about killing him.
my God. Notice sky is alive. Which way we'll go? Honest, never last. What we're destined
I guess
murder, vampirism, necrophilia, cannibalism, not to mention gamut of sexual goodies.
Skinny Puppy, live on Brave New Waves, and we're going to return in a few minutes. We're going to take a break and talk to members of Skinny Puppy and give Tom Ellard and Severed Heads a chance to set up back here in Techno Hell. Stand by. The Puppies are still down in the other studio. They're trying to dismantle their equipment so that Severed Heads can set up their equipment, and we can all go back into Techno Hell and listen to the next live concert scheduled on not the John Peel sessions of Brave New Waves. And while I'm waiting for them to come down here, I want to play you music. Dwayne, Kevin, and Ogre, welcome to Brave New Waves. And what a great concert that was. Thank you.
Thanks.
As Al was saying, my producer Al just came in and was enthusing about the concert, and he said, "Mais comme spectacle, il y a rien à voir." He was saying that, you know, looking at it, there's not a lot going on in the studio, which I know is not the way it is when you perform live, but I couldn't even see Ogre because you were crouching.
He was lying on the floor. I always hide when I'm in the studio for some reason, whereas when I'm on stage, it's just a lot different. I mean, within a studio and within that kind of confined space, I was creeping into the corners and disappearing.
I could see this sort of foot tapping from behind the grenades, and that was about it. And then, but when I was in the studio, the only sound I heard was basically your vocals, and I could hear Dwayne's programs clacking around on the table as he changed them.
The discs.
That was it, the discs.
And probably you could hear Kevin's guitar as well.
Yeah.
Maybe just the dry strings.
Yeah,
and you could probably hear our breathing as well. I was going sort of
cursing under your breath.
Hand signal.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Beer bottle.
To me, the concert sounded flawless. How did it sound to you?
It was completely spontaneous. So, I mean, I think if we were trying too hard to really make it something, you know, that had a pre-designated area, you know? Yeah, if the ideas were already mapped out, then it wouldn't have turned out that way. The way we like to do it is to leave all options open and just see the way things flow, let fate decide.
But it wasn't a complete improv. I mean, you did have some idea. I know that Dave in studio. Dave Ogilvy was helping out, and he seeed to know what programs you're going to next, or was he helping you? Was he just sort of throwing things at you, and you were dealing with?
We did 3 pieces. We did One Time, One Place, Dig It, and Last Call, and there was 2 or 3. I'd say probably 17 minutes of that was completely improvised, never played before, never thought of before, and.
I was going to read a book, but
What are you reading these days?
I'm reading this book called Nevada by what's his name? I can't remember his name, but it's interesting. It's about the Fly Wizard. It's about a guy who makes a pact with the Corn Devil, and he has to walk around in town during their monthly fairs with his fly unzipped. Fly's the wizard, making women sin when they look at him, and going into the church and making the preacher screw up his sermon.
What era is this from?
It's his name. I wish I could remember his name. He wrote 100 Years of Solitude. He read that.
Oh yeah, Marquez.
That's great.
Why don't we have a phone competition?
This time last year, you were on the Skinny Puppy No Frills tour, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It seems to me your fortunes have changed in a year.
No, just a little more frilly.
Well, we decided to add more action to the live show. I mean, we wanted to expand more with the improvisations that we do get into, and also add another dimension to the theatrics as well as the musical boundaries and everything.
Well, I mean, the theatrics are still what they were. They're still a little more thought out, a little less gothic in nature. You know, like a kind of gothic kind of romanticism's gone, and a little more reality has been injected into it, I think. I hope.
But as far as the scope of this tour, you're traveling a lot farther. I mean, you're up to Europe, right?
And the U.S. Pretty extensively.
Way back from Europe to the U.S. You're playing in Budapest?
Budapest, Hungary, yeah. It hasn't been completely confirmed, but there's real interest for us to play there, yeah, I guess.
In the
Trucks pointed in that direction.
Tires are well inflated. The thing that might have maybe changed your fortunes a bit too is this deal with Play It Again Sam Records, right?
Yeah. Even though we did actually come up with that deal shortly just after the release of our first CP.
Yeah, it's always been there with us, actually. I think it's just been, things start to kind of snowball with time. I mean, you have to have this kind of, I think, gestation period in which people just kind of let the music sink in, and then it starts to, as germs do, infect other people.
But a lot of the people who do the kind of music which I don't want to lump into the same category with Skinny Puppy, but the kind of music you do has a lot of European partners, and people like Luke Van Acker or Front 242 or even the Revolting Cocks. And I'm wondering whether you think that there's going to be the kind of acceptance for you in Europe that those people have enjoyed, as opposed to, the sort of working at it here in Canada and in the United States, which you've done for a long time.
Yeah, well, even the States is still, pretty virgin territory to us. So, Europe in that sense, we haven't, I guess the best thing for us would be just to wait and see when we actually get over there.
Yeah. It's fairly blind right now. We have no idea what we're going to step into. I mean, we just know the records are released and they've sold fairly well, but not overly well. And it'd be interesting to see which markets it went into, or which people are listening to it.
You're not playing in the UK this tour?
No.
Why is that?
The record's released mostly through, or distributed mostly through Germany and everything. I mean, they do have Rough Trade distribution, or the Cartel, in England. But who's to tell what even goes on there?
We have a chance of organizing a date with Patrick from Test Department, manager from Test Department, who's over, and we spent some time with them.
In Expo?
At Expo, yeah. Ministry of Power show. And so, I mean, it's there to do, but at the same time, we'll have 3 days off then after, 27 dates. So it might be nice just to kind of rest in Brussels. We'll be kind of looked after by Play It Again Sam there, and so I think I know I'm going to need a break.
But I understood that there was a chance that Skinny Puppy could get something going at the Xerox International Theatre, the way that something along the lines of the Ministry of Power show.
No, it was.
We had one completely drafted out on paper and everything, and I had
The plot. I mean, we had a script. We spent about 2 or 3 months working on it. I worked on it with a lady named Myra Davies, and it was, a really pretty great mentor to me. And it was just something that was done. It was set to do. We had everything arranged. Then the festival got canceled, and I couldn't really get the momentum up to do it again. All that energy, and as well, we started running into kind of contractual problems with the show that we were doing out at UBC on the 5th. So it's all these things kind of got really bad karma to it at the end. So I think it will be realized, but not until next year.
Was it a good summer for you out in Vancouver?
Yeah, it was.
It's good for me.
Why was it good for you, Dwayne?
Well, I went down to Vancouver for a vacation. I ended up meeting up with Kevin and Ogre to join the band. Just in the midst of recording the album and preparing for the tour and the show.
Did you know about them before?
Oh yeah, I had met them before, about a year before, in Edmonton. Just opening up for the band and being introduced to them.
Are you from Edmonton?
Yeah, from Edmonton.
Who have you been playing with before Skinny Puppy?
I was just doing stuff on my own at the time. With another girl, we were a band called Water, and another band in Edmonton was called Boys.
You didn't work with the people in Psyche
Oh yeah, I worked with them a long time ago.
when you were all children, right?
And we were all right at the very beginning.
Mind the Perpetual Intercourse is the new album, and it seems to mark a new direction for Skinny Puppy in a lot of ways. It's maybe tighter, more dense, conceptually perhaps tighter as well.
Yeah,
more time.
More time spent.
There's just a lot more time.
Well, it was recorded basically instead of being rushed and pushed into a studio and deadline. It was let's get a home recording situation happening, and we recorded 3/4 of it at home, and then the other quarter of it was spontaneous in the studio.
You got your hands on some new technology for this as well.
Yeah, some new technology, some new people with Dwayne, and some new goals, new directions wanting to explore.
Soon to be available and play again, Sam, if you're going to Europe. And if you're going to Europe, you can see Skinny Puppy live in Brussels on the 4th of October and at the Futurama Festival on the 5th with Nick Cave.
Yeah, Nick Cave.
You and Nick are playing together, or is it all?
No, he's headlining, I think,
Yeah.
a little earlier.
There's like 14 bands playing. Who knows where we're going to show up.
But along with Test Department, you also met Blixa Vargal this summer when Einstürzende played at Expo.
And formed a really good bond, actually. We found almost similar attitudes and styles, only that he's a German boy and we're Canadian boys.
Well, not a lot of metal pounding going on in Skinny Puppy, really.
Some more now.
We've actually just incorporated kind of live acoustic drums.
He sort of convinced me, actually. It was Blixa that sort of convinced me to use the real drums, because I was saying, well, I play drums and everything, and he was saying, well, you should play them then.
What did he wasn't critical of what you're doing without?
No, he was just interested in the fact of presenting aggression on stage more aggressively than we were expressing that we were already, if that made any sense.
Yeah, it does. So do you use found objects then?
Like big metal cans and a big plastic drum that we got from Test Department as well, actually.
Wow, it's great. The world came to Vancouver this summer, and you guys got to capitalize on that.
Good parts of the world, did I think so, because the great thing about the Neubauten show was it was presented in such a way that was very powerful. Some of the most powerful concerts I've ever seen in my life. It was just amazing.
It seemed also to all come together very, very quickly. I mean, the first we heard about it was about a week before it happened.
It was in the brewing for quite some time.
Neubauten was in the brewing for almost a year. And Test Department was just mentioned, and then all of a sudden after, because of the success of Neubauten, why don't we do Test Department? Why doesn't Xerox do Test Department? So they brought them across, and at no lack of expense.
There's a whole mystique about Skinny Puppy that extends. I think it's something to do with the live performances, but there's a kind of reputation. You have a reputation among people who I don't even think know your music. And for instance, wearing a Skinny Puppy T-shirt, you're bound to be grabbed by somebody and said, you know, well, hey, I remember them from Vancouver or something like that. I think that Vancouver has kind of extended their parentage right across the country. Every time I wear the shirt, I'm bound to meet somebody who remembers you from Vancouver. How long